long time.
I know. We finished this. What? Okay. So we're recording on the 18th. When did you all finish the book? I finished, I think it was 2 weeks ago, three
I
weeks ago,
finished,
maybe.
yeah. I think I finished like a 2 days or a day or so after you.
Hmm.
So
It was like a day after because I was like texting and
you
calling
were
Ash.
you
And
were
then
in
you
Cape
were
Cod.
texting. Yeah. And then you were texting and calling Ash. And Ashley was like, she picked up the phone with me one time. She was like, Kayla can't stop calling me. I was
Like
like,
it was
sorry.
literally one after another with you two.
We couldn't help it.
It's so good. This part in true Sarah J. Maas form, like this last part here is it's a lot. It's amazing. Have you started book three yet, Kayla?
No, I
Me
actually have been
either.
reading Powerless. I just finished
Oh,
it like an hour ago. And I called Ashley and I was like, if this doesn't happen in the next book, I will skip the next book. And she's like, she just gave me a little validation that just a little, didn't spoil anything, just a little validation I needed. So I started book two. Now we go for that.
Hello?
girl,
Girl,
what
what
page
page
you
you
on?
on?
Shall we?
We shall.
Okay. I put the chapters. Did it work for you, Ash, finally?
Yeah. I have it
Okay,
up.
good.
Who's going first?
I did
It
it
doesn't
last
matter.
time.
But also
Okay.
all of these little bullet points, we don't have to talk about all of them. I had added stuff, so it was just a couple of things. Like if we wanted to, we can kind of hit it. I think this is going to be chaotic and fun because we're so excited to talk about everything.
There's so much.
There's so much.
I need
So,
you guys to finish the entire series. And then we can have an absolute chaos episode.
But I feel like the end of this one gave us like I feel okay not picking up the next one right away. I want to, but like I feel like
Where
I'm
did your
really
guys' book
happy.
end? Let me ask this. Where's your guys' book end?
it literally ends with the
Hello.
night
Hello,
croak.
I understand.
Yeah.
You guys are, that's the only thing you're focusing on.
Well,
No,
there's like so much. And then they do like a epilogue where with Ethan, I think.
yeah.
And they also do a little bit like I instantly knew where we were. But anyway, let's get into it
Okay,
so that we
All right.
can
okay.
Without further ado, welcome everybody to Girl What Page You On. Yes, we do get sidetracked. Yes, we start deep diving before we even do an intro. But without further ado, let me introduce our, are we calling her snack or are we keeping her speed reader status par? This girl was literally telling us how she was making this very fancy ramen for lunch, and we all were very jealous. And then, of course, we have always here for the spice, Samantha Shariah, and I'm me, Kiki, your History Collins. So I guess we better tell people now. What is it, Ashley, we have to tell them?
It's a spoiler alert that we kind of already spoiled. Spoiler alert. We are talking and gushing about the entirety of the book. Sky and Breath, Crescent City. Kayla and Sam, when they both finished ended, they were calling me multiple times back to back. Like I could not get a break from them with theories and stuff. And we are going to share those theories. We're going to discuss the endings and all of the nonsense that has occurred.
But before we can get into our deep dive in theory corner, you and I are going to take a little trip to the 33rd where I'm going to summarize everything that happened in part three, The Pit. In the aftermath of the chaos with Pippa, things are giving espionage. The Hind pretends she doesn't see anyone at the rebel camp, while Baxian is suddenly desperate to join our team. Everyone's playing dumb. Rebel who? Meanwhile, Bryce has been low key working with the Viper Queen and finally retrieves Emil Renas. It turns out he is powerless, and Sophie had made it all up to protect him from Orphean. Bryce sends him off to a safe, undisclosed location, aka, he is secretly adopted by Bryce's parents. Ethan is now Hypaxia's guard and follows her everywhere. During a night out, a demon attacks her and Bryce. Ethan is gravely injured but survives, and Hypaxia discovers that she can also supercharge Bryce's power. And Day plan to meet in person at the autumnal equinox ball. At the ball, the Asteri celebrate Ephraim and Celestina, and Bryce boldly asks them for their blessing as her mate with Hunt. Iconic Bryce chaos here. Rune heads to the rooftop for his midnight meetup, but he finds the harpy instead. Thank gods it is not Day. It turns out Day got spooked and bailed. We close the party with Bryce and Hunt accidentally walking in on Celestina and none other than Hypaxia hooking up. Surprise, surprise. Baxian, Danica's surprise mate, by the way, joins the crew, sharing inside information that leads them to wanting to break into the Eternal Archives, aka where the Asteri live. Great plan, guys. Great plan. Bryce and Hunt and Rune sneak into the city while Cormac and Therian head to the Pangeran lab to intercept mech suit build out. In the palace, Bryce discovers there are pipes funneling First Light to the Asteri. Yep, the Asteri are feeding off of First Light. She finds a door labeled Dusk, and obviously she goes in to investigate, revealing star maps and a disturbing truth. The Asteri are an intergalactic parasites hopping from world to world, consuming First Light and then moving on. Where does Hell play in all of this? Well, Hell is the only world the Asteri could not conquer. So now the demons might actually be the good guys wanting to help Midgard. Rigelus catches Bryce in her snooping, revealing that this was all part of his plan, and he wanted Bryce there so that she could work on his behalf and he can use her to open up the rifts. Oh, and he tells her that her Fae heritage is not from Midgard. More on that later. He says that the horn and another artifact were stolen from the Asteri. So maybe we can use that in the future. Who knows, guys? Meanwhile, Rune gets thrown into a cell and tortured by the harpy until Day reveals her true identity. The Hind, she comes in and kills the harpy, and they stage it so it looks like Bryce takes the blame, keeping keeping the Hind's cover. The Asteri drag Hunt, Rune, and Bryce into the throne room. Thanks to the Hind secretly unlocking Bryce's chains and Hunt creating a distraction, Bryce escapes portal style and she vanishes into another world, hoping that it's Hell so she can enlist them to help. However, she crash lands in a strange city surrounded by unfamiliar faces to her and a foreign language with bat-winged warriors. When they finally manage to communicate, one very tall, very handsome Fae steps forward and says, "Hello, Bryce. My name is Rhysand." And that is literally where this book ends, and I screamed.
Perfect, like,
Ah,
because it's like as they're walking in, you know who people are, and you're like, well, there's Nesta and Cassian. Well, and it's Asriel that picks her up and brings her in, right? Yep. Okay,
mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Um, but yeah, it was just like, and of course, Rhysand and his sly form. Hello there, like, hello, darling, kind of thing to her. There is so much to unravel in the like just this part three had so much in it, just like every section, but it's always like the ending pieces that kind of just like get put together. It's like finishing the puzzle, and this is the framework for it, I guess. Um,
Yes.
but okay, so before we just like deep dive into all the Rhysand and our Night Court and the Rita crew, um, so Ethan being in love, this is like pretty early on in part three, is Ethan's love for Bryce is revealed. And so what are y'all's thoughts? Because I was like, is it just the Hallstrom boys are just in love with this girl? Is it like a Hardy Boys thing where they both are in love with Nancy Drew? Like, what are your thoughts?
I Well, I think we've talked about this before. It's like we kind of get this idea that Ethan is like following like little brother style, like kind of loves her. And I think it makes sense because they were together. They weren't together. They were friends in like college or the equivalent of college, right? And
Hmm.
they were like in the same kind of friend group and they seem to have a very, very close relationship. So it makes sense that he would have been in love with her. It's very sweet. But like, do we need him to be in love with her? No. Like I think it
No,
would like for me, I think for the plot, it would have been perfectly fine for them just to be really close friends.
I kind of preferred that just because it's like pining after your siblings' love. And so like I kind of just was like, I would have liked it if he had like a kid crush like years ago, but then like it matured into like that brotherly love almost. That's kind of what I would have rather have seen.
Hmm.
Um, and speaking of college, like Danica sleeping around and then all of a sudden like she stops and now we know why Miss Party Girl stopped sleeping around.
Do you know
Yeah,
how
because
hard that
she,
is to keep quiet? Of like, you guys will hear and read more about like their bond and stuff, but you really come to like love Braxis and his devotion and love to Danica. It's just like, so here you guys like kind of trash him earlier was really, really hard because you're like, but he's a giant teddy bear.
Yeah, so it also so we because I remember last episode we were talking about how there's the hind and the harpy, and the hind is with Pollux and the harpy was with Bax. So, and now knowing it and like knowing who Day is, which I called it. I knew it. I knew it. Um, I just there's I knew it.
Okay, but by the way, you called screaming it was the harpy,
Yes, it is the
not the
harpy.
it's the
no, it's the
Oh,
hind.
hind.
is the hind. Excuse. Well,
This
no,
is why.
This
I
is
originally
why
said it was the hind,
you
and
need to
then
read
Yes.
the book.
I felt like I
I
got pulled away
literally
from that, and then it wasn't, and then I was like, oh well, maybe it's the harpy, and then it was the hind the whole time.
I literally have text from you where it's like you were trying, you're like, is it that like I had just read it and you were like a day behind me or like just a couple chapters behind and you were like, oh, is it hypoxia? No, wait, yes, no. And you were just like spiraling, but you had said the hind earlier and I was like, Kayla called it, but then you like kept spiraling.
That's because I had no direction, and like again, this is where Sarah J is very good at giving you everything all at once. And then just like manipulating your feelings. And even though like I always should trust my gut with her books, always. And I will next book I will do this.
She
Um
won't.
I'm gonna try. But
Ash, spoiler alert, she won't.
She won't.
uh
um, well, so Baxian and Danica being mates, yes. But so can I admit something that I'm not proud of?
Yes.
I was like, who the fuck cares? You
I
know what I
was
mean? Like,
too.
I know he will, and I'm okay with that. But
Yes. Yeah.
I like, do you know what I mean? Like from the beginning, I was like, cool, Baxian. Like, I guess he has more and more of like he and Hunt get to know each other a little better because Hunt is supposed to be
Yes.
taking him around Crescent City, and so we get to know him more. And he and Therian end up being pretty good friends. Like, end up being buddy buddy, which is really cool. So like, it was kind of interesting because at the beginning we only heard Baxian is with the harpy. It's like, how could you ever live with the harpy? The harpy literally like took rebels and like tortures them, like rips their ribs out while they're alive and like pulls their lungs out. It's like disgusting. So it's like, how are you with this person? But it was one of those things where we never saw like Baxian actually doing anything bad or terrible. He was associated with people who are really terrible. And I think Sarah J. Maas did that with us with Rhysand too, right? Right. For example,
Yes.
like he was with Amryn under the mountain. So spoilers, sorry. We should probably add a spoiler alert for all of ACOTAR
Amarantha.
as well.
Amarantha, not Amryn.
Oh, sorry,
I
Amarantha.
thought she was
Yeah.
abbreviating, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I was like, well, I would have taken the
Yeah, no,
abbreviation
you're
because
right.
we would have understood. But I was like, other people are like, But yeah, I totally agreed. I was like, who cares? But at the same time, I was like, oh, yay for Dan. Like Danica had her mate for 2 years. Like that's awesome. I'm so happy for her.
See, and I look at that. I don't see, I thought the opposite. I was heartbroken for Brex.
I was a little
Heartbroken.
bit like that
Baxian
too
Yeah.
for him with
because he
her
lost.
dying.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
like, I mean, we really haven't seen many across the Sarah J. Maas books of a mate dying and having to move past that and move on. So that, yeah.
Um, Maybe the harpy is a freak in the streets and a freak in the sheets, and he just needs a rebound. No,
I
I think
feel
he's
like,
doing it to cover. He's totally doing
oh
it to
yeah,
cover.
it's
Yeah.
just like uh the Hind, like she is with Pollux and now knowing and like having the vision of her having to sleep with him and like just also the the Rune and day chase scene. And it's not a chase like a running chase. I'm meaning like a couch chase. Um, that was very intense. My heart actually is slightly broken for Rune because you could tell like he knew that Day was like his one, and I think that they have like the mating bond kind of thing. Like I feel like that is there. Um, but I also like my heart hurts for him, but it also hurts for I can never remember her name, but who the Hind is. It's Hypaxia's sister. Also,
Lydia Cerberus.
Lydia.
Hmm.
Also I needed this confirmed. Um, is Lydia a fawn?
Yes,
So it goes right into what he likes.
exactly.
He has a thing for fawns. And like, okay, I just needed confirmation for that because I forgot to go back and look for it. And I was just like, she's a fawn. Of course he's gonna be in love with her. He has a thing for fawns.
I know that one of the things we talked about was in like all of these like secrets being revealed, and this is a theme throughout the entire book and series, really, is the struggle that we have between looking back at Danica and Bryce's friendship. And I can't help but feel like a little brokenhearted for Bryce with Danica keeping all these secrets. This is your closest friend. So I just wanted to kind of, because I know like we've all had conversations about like how challenging it must be. And like we almost are like kind of mad or upset with Danica or hurt by Danica in a way because there's so many secrets. First, it was in book one with the synth, and now it's with Baxian. And it's like there's probably going to be a lot more. Or her even, she was the reason that Bryce knew about Project Dusk, right? And all of these things. So it's a little tough. And I hope that we get to see, a nice resolution for this. But it's a little tough for poor Danica and Bryce's relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the I did like hearing back say how Danica did love Bryce and like she would always protect Bryce. I still struggle with that just because like I get you keep secrets, but there's just too many secrets. Like when does it end? Like you weren't best friends, you were just at this point they were just friends or like and I'm sure Bryce, I don't know. I don't know. But I struggle.
Yeah,
All right. What's next?
I
There's
know we
so
have
much to
so much.
unload.
I
So
know
much to
there's so
unload.
much. I'm trying to think. There's so I don't want to go too out of like D2 chaotic. Do you want
Ash,
to
yeah, sorry, I just remember Ash, you definitely slipped about the Amryn and Fury thing. Like you kept comparing Fury to Amryn and like we weren't getting it. And now like when you say it, we're like, oh, thanks.
It's so interesting because okay, so I was thinking when she was comparing Fury and Amryn, I was like, okay, like we have I at the beginning when she told us to read Crescent City, she was like, "Oh, you'll get some characters from
You'll get
ACOTAR," and
some
I was like, "Okay,
crossover.
cool. You'll get some crossovers." What she said. So in my brain, I was like, "Oh, Crescent City is like the future, and this was the past." But obviously, at the end, we now get like they're in different worlds with the Asteri stuff, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so excited."
I For real, I cruised through the first two books on the like on the hope that I was gonna get a ACOTAR crossover at some point. I didn't realize it was gonna be book three. But I also like, I mean, I read ACOTAR and then I went straight into Crescent City. So it was super fresh for me. Yeah, having the crossover. I really am excited for you guys to finish the third book and or get started and finish third book because it's gonna be you guys think you're like tripping now. It's gonna be so much better when it's all closed out and just it's wonderful. It's
I'm
yeah.
just excited that we have like a fully published series, like a fully finished series.
Yes. And we're not stuck waiting and stuff. And Kayla just finished Powerless and she's about to start the next book. And the third book just came out. And I did the thing that you're not supposed to do. I picked up the third book in the store and literally read the last page because
Ashley.
Powerless,
Of
they do
course you
end.
did.
Well, you guys will feel me when I say this. I am over reading books that have cliffhangers. So I am not going to invest in a 400-page book for it to be a cliffhanger if the next book isn't ready. I'm drawing the line in the sand, guys. I am
Oh my
over it.
God.
My emotions can't do it.
So what did you guys, sorry, I want to circle because I just remembered what we should talk about. Therian ends up going over to the Viper Queen and asking the Viper Queen to take him into her service. I like Ash, you probably know what ends up happening and why that's such a big deal. But I was just like, why the hell would he do that? Like, yeah, he's kind of under the River Queen's like thumb, and he is engaged slash not engaged to the River Queen's daughter. But I guess the daughter was like, I'm done with you. Like, you're just stringing me along. It's just so weird. Like he's got some freedoms. I guess he's like the merman. He's like the Little Mermaid. He does not want to be in the ocean. He
Well, and
wants to
that's a,
be where the people are.
People are.
and that's
Gotta
the
see him dancing.
issue. I'm sorry, I might spoil something, but I'm pretty sure it's in this book too, where he's like he can't be out of water
Yep.
for a certain amount of time.
Oh
And
yeah.
as soon as he steps foot into the River Queen's domain, she has full control over him. She could do whatever she wanted to him. But if he falls under another house or another rule, then her rulings are ixnayed. But also at the same time, he can't go into the River Queen's territory anymore.
That's actually a question I had that I wrote down, which was Therian leaving the rivers, city and the Queen, to join the Viper Queen. Will this bite him in the ass? Um, Both literally and figuratively. Um, I, yeah, like, because like as you're saying, he had to stay within the realm, like always come back to the river and so on, like be in the water. And he still has to do that, but he says as soon as he pretty much signed himself away, the pool and the terror from the River Queen, everything just stopped. Like the waves crashing to find him, everything stopped. And so I definitely like we knew the Viper Queen was strong, but like where she's so strong that she literally rule can break a bond between like the head of their house. Like that was pretty crazy. And I was just like, Jesus, what did he just do?
It's
We
yeah. It's hard like it's hard for me to remark on stuff because I don't want to spoil things ahead and I sometimes I cross the books over because things do mesh together in certain things. There, yeah, I was actually really I was surprised he went to Viper Queen in the first place, but at the same time, he wants to be where the people are. Like straight up.
I feel like we have like a really strong crew now, right? I think that Therian like being for the Viper Queen, but I also think the Viper Queen kind of likes Bryce. Like the Viper Queen let her call in a favor, let her call, right? So like the where she didn't really have to, like she's pretty powerful. So I feel like I don't know. I feel like the Viper Queen's also kind of just like she definitely has her own agenda, but I think it could kind of be in line with Bryce's agenda. Um I now that we know where hell plays in here, like there's some light bulbs, right? I remember last time I was like, what do they want? Like, I have no idea. So now that we know that hell could be in part the good guys, like there are still demons that are trying to kill everyone, which is a little bonkers, but use them to your advantage, I guess. Knowing that they can defeat the Asteri is pretty awesome. And knowing now, at the end, there's like a lot of reveals about Bryce's heritage and her starborn power. And we know the horn has a counterpart blade, which is none other than Azrael's knife, which is freaking cool. Because they like pull it out at the end there. So I obviously we know that this is the wrap of this book. Kayla's just had a light bulb moment.
We did.
But I think we'll see hopefully some cool back and forth there. What's up, Kayla?
What if, because Sarah J is going to do a book for Rhysand, what if Rhysand's mate is not in ACOTAR? What if
You
his mate is
mean
in Crescent?
Asriel, not
Sorry,
Resand.
sorry. Yes, I'm sorry, Azrael. Like,
Trying to divorce Freya
what?
and Reese already.
Oh gosh, yeah, I'm sorry. Um, but Azrael, like, what if his mate is actually in Crescent City and like ACOTAR is going to have their own spin-off of it? Like, I don't know. I got a whole lot going in my head now. As soon as you were
Yeah,
saying that, Sam, though.
as soon, yeah, like the next book I think is going to be super interesting because the Crescent City series falls in between. So yes, I am with you on that for sure. I am looking forward to it. Um, Remember, I definitely tried to leave hints because I said I dropped the portals to different worlds thing. I also dropped like calls to like, which we've heard in the series, the entirety of the series, like calls to like. So now you guys will have to go back and watch or listen to our previous episodes and see where I dropped those hints because they were pretty early too.
Well, the Fury one was like you push that so hard. And I was like,
But
okay,
that's how
I
that
get it.
like even down to their looks. When I read, I was like, this is Amryn. Like this is Amryn with a bigger budget.
So, Celestina, we thought that she was going to be good and she was going to be helpful and stuff like that. But an Asteri, once an Asteri, always an Asteri is all I have. Even though she's in love with Hypaxia, like it's very clear that she ratted them out. There's the only her new so like I kind of felt like I like she was gonna stay like Asteri, and especially knowing like what the Asteri are doing and how like she is part of that. She is one of the high archangel people, so she probably knows exactly what's going on, right?
Did she rat them out?
Yeah, she told them um she told them something that only she would have known. Um it was something like that. Like and it because Bryce's or who was it? Brune, somebody was saying about her betrayal. Like there is no way that she didn't like she once in a stereo, always in a stereo because of the information she passed on. I can't remember what it was, but I feel like that was some like I was trying to catch that.
I
Um,
don't know. I didn't, I might have missed it, but I feel like she might also be like just kind of trying to play it low. But I also like if is she Asteri? Like she is
Mhm.
Asteri.
She
That- yeah, she's one of
she is
the.
under the order of the Asteri. She is not Asteri.
I thought she
Yeah.
was because she's an archangel, and
No,
she.
they're not, they're
No,
different. Because
Asteris
Hunt is
are
a
a
fallen
different
archangel.
race. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Asteris are the parasites.
That's,
Um,
there's still
I
something in there about her. Her.
will say this. Blind loyalty and fear are hand in hand when following cult.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, I don't I have a feeling like that's kind of what my
you're
thought
either
was that
blind
she
loyalty or you're following for fear. Like there it's
yeah,
so I will say that I was a little when I read it, I was slightly disappointed in her. Just because the she's been going through a lot of being forced into
a
this
marriage.
marriage and forced to have, procreate and have kids with a guy that she's been friends with forever and does not think of him like that. And to repetitively do it over and over again until you get pregnant is like, ugh. I just feel for her. So again, blind loyalty and fear are hand in hand in followings.
So you think
Um,
she's blindly loyal to the
no,
Asteri?
I think she's fearful.
Yeah, that's kind of what
I
I
think
think
she's
too.
yeah. Um,
I don't yeah, I think also there's another like the other component is just like being a double agent, right? So like if she is like, okay, I'm going along with this because, well, maybe she's scared. And then also, she can't do any good if she's not in the power she's in. So at least she can do, right, a little good. But that kind of brings us to the point where at the end, when Bryce is figuring all this out and she's talking with the Asteri, she's they're essentially saying that they found out that instead of just kind of sucking a planet dry, that it's easier to let them believe they have some sort of power, which would be like the Fae. And so they were the ones who kind of made this fake war between the Fae and the humans. They brought all these beings from different planets, put them in one place, and then gave them different classes so that they'd be fighting against themselves, which is literally right out of a Nazi playbook. I'm just gonna say it. It's right out of Hitler's playbook. So it's like the Asteri are fucking evil. But they're like letting the humans and the Fae kind of go at each other while they blindly are just like, okay, we'll just take all the stuff that you're not noticing. And so because they found that it was easier just to kind of I don't, what's the word? Like colonize a land as opposed to
Mhm.
just completely destroy it and take it over. Um, so that's I don't remember.
it goes
Mhm.
back to uh, what's the point of being a ruler if you have no one to rule? Like you can kill everybody, but what's the point of being a ruler if you have nobody to rule over? Like
Yeah.
so, um,
And they kind of rely on them anyway. Like they literally need the first
yeah,
light to survive.
yep.
Ugh.
Um,
But in that end scene, Bryce was able to tell everyone, kind of like get the secret out.
yeah.
Which who knows if that bodes well for them or not so well for them. But my thought is also like, yo, if Rune can mind talk to people, why isn't he like mind linking with Cormac? We know he can do it over super long distances. So why isn't he like spitting it out to Cormac? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if they're all in this room, like he can get that secret out and they won't even know it's left that room.
Yeah, that's a good point. Um, Also still think Rune is obviously he's related to Rhysand. We already know that. Some way, shape, or form. I still think it's Rhysand's sister.
Do you though?
Yes.
Well, okay, so since we're on like and like, are you guys on the same boat as the cereal? Is the bone quarter?
The Reapers.
Reapers, to the cereal. Thoughts?
I think
Surreal.
they are.
They just, yeah, like I said, a lot of like, it's just kind of dead
And then
giveaways.
it was the same with like the shifters, right? Like
Yeah.
Tamlin's Fae shift. So, okay, so here's the other thing for continuity, right? Let's assume ACOTAR is an unadulterated world. Like this is its own world. This is the original land where this type of Fae comes from. So we have Surreal, we have shifters there, we have Bat Boys, we have the feathery wings, right?
Mhm.
Coming from Valaris or from that whatever that world is called. I don't the planet, whatever is called. So are they on multiple worlds or have the Asteri not made it to ACOTAR's lands? And like
That's
how did
what
they all
I
get there? Is like kind of where my question is. And we know that hell is a different land. So at first I was like, oh, hell could be like under the mountain and all of like, right? Like Resand has shadows, like, but I think it's different. I think hell is its own separate world that they came from. So it's like, okay, how many worlds did they collect from? Or like, and if they collected from them, then they obviously killed that world. But like the world of ACOTAR has not been adulterated, or have they been? And it's just, I don't know.
So going into ACOTAR, Amryn says that she's from another world. What if Amryn is part of like the hell, like she's a hell princess or one of the princes. I'm using that term loosely. The of hell, like because it seems like her powers are very similar, and she just like snaps her fingers and she can kill whoever she wants, or she can do whatever she wants. Um, so I'm kind of leaning towards different worlds, and I almost think that they came to Amryn's world, and then Amryn fled and maybe they haven't gotten to ACOTAR. But that also, but they had to be at ACOTAR because they took the Autumn King's line. Like we can see all the High Fae in Crescent City. They for sure have ties back to ACOTAR. Which I know that there's an actual name for that realm, but it's just
Valaris.
easy.
I don't know
Yeah.
the name of the
Well,
realm
there's
though.
Valaris. There's
Starts with a P.
yeah, I know. It's
Stuff
been a
that.
hot second since we read them. But back to that world. So I feel like they have come to it, but maybe it's just not
Or
known.
maybe that world is like a world of refugees in a way, like they've found and
Ooh.
like pieced out. Because at one point they do say like when Bryce is talking with the Asteri, they're like because she was looking for the Asteri's home planet, right? And he goes, how can you're not going to be able to find our home planet. It's been so long since we've been there. We've forgotten the name. So like that, like it might be that wherever ACOTAR takes place, like maybe they are refugees from, because there's also
Oh.
humans there too, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
they might be refugees from, they fled and like found this secret place, kind of how Valaris was secret, right? Like that was a secret to everyone on that planet within that planet. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just like kind of spiraling. I'm getting a little crazy, but
Join my
that's
club.
um yeah, I mean, what else did you guys want to talk about?
I have
There's like
one,
yes.
just the one final question, and it has been burning into my soul. Are you ready for this question, Ashley?
Yes.
Sunball. Still think sunball is baseball, or are we now leaning toward football?
It's baseball.
I
It
think
gave a little.
baseball.
But when it's like described, it's described more like rugby football. And
It's baseball.
I still want it to be baseball. In my head, it's still baseball. Like reading the description though, it was like it made it sound more like rugby, but in my mind, I'm going to ignore it and I'm still sticking with baseball. Because Connor Holstrom sounds like Connor Holstrom's up to bat next. Hicks, let's see. Oh, straight out. Like that's just how like in my head. Like Connor
It's
Holstrom's a baseball player.
Prant. Prythian.
Prithian.
Prithian.
I'm like, this is gonna drive me nuts all day if I don't figure this out. Like, oh my goodness, that's terrible. Why couldn't she just name it Crescent City 2 or Crescent Moon or Sunshine State? Oh, wait. You
That's
know,
what only
something.
becomes after Amarantha and the King of Hybern are gone.
But yeah, I'm voting. It's still maybe it's like more like cricket football kind of thing.
I know that's what
No.
it's described
I
Full
as.
just read it
contact,
as
full
football.
contact baseball.
Full
Yeah,
contact
there we
baseball.
go. Well, that's occasionally that does happen. I can think of a few moves or a few plays where
I
that's
love
happened.
basketball, not basketball at all. There's no
No,
hoop. Like there's no like it's
no,
baseball. There's no
it's
end goal. Like it's
Baseball.
baseball.
Yeah,
it's
there's no
contact baseball.
baseball.
That's
Oh
just what
my
it's gonna
gosh.
be.
What are your hopes for book 3?
That you guys will finish it in a timely manner.
My hope is that you'll reread with us so that you know where we're at and what to add without spoiling.
Instead of asking, where does the
Is
book
this a
end?
spoiler? I don't know. Is this a spoiler?
Not my fault. You guys take forever.
Whatever.
It's not my fault.
Just
Whatever.
reread it.
So, well, I guess until next time. Hello. I really would just want to say hello, Farrah, darling, but it's hello, Bryce.